Welcome to Worldwide Wisdom. As we learned this morning about Hanukkah. Hanukkah this week is a very joyous and illuminatory Jewish festival. The question is, what's up with the oil on Hanukkah? Why the big deal about the oil? Now, I know we got the story about the oil that it didn't last 8 days, and what was the problem with the oil is that it did last 8 days. I'm sorry, why did they need the oil to last 8 days? Remember the story you heard? Is that the Greeks, they defiled the oil. And then when the Jews came in to inaugurate the temple, the word inaugurate means Hanukkah, is Hanukkah. When they came in and they only found the oil to last 1 day, and it took them 8 days in order to make new oil, and miraculously the oil lasted for 8 days. That's the basic reason of why we use oil in Hanukkah. Let's dive a little deeper. Let's make it more personal. Let's make it more real and relevant. By the way, I've misplaced my charger for my laptop today, so forgive me. I'm only on 10%, but I'm hoping that this broadcast will burn miraculously long enough to complete. Yes, to burn to miraculously last. We're hoping for a Hanukkah miracle that I am able to finish the broadcast without cutting out. But if I do cut out, then you know we failed in our Hanukkah miracle. Also, a special comment to our worldwide viewers here. I want to thank you for those that have already posted reviews on our Google. If you could go to Chabad of Palm Beach Gardens, to our Google page, Chabad of Palm Beach Gardens, and post a Google review, that would be very helpful to the growth of our community and to the influence of our community. Google ranks us based upon our reviews. So if you could please go to Chabad of Palm Beach Gardens, that'll be awesome. Okay, on Google, just go to Google and type in a review. Back to the story here. So what's interesting about Hanukkah is that it's very, very different to all the other Jewish holidays in one very dramatic difference. And that is something which is very, very personal to us Jews. It's about food. You see, every other Jewish holiday has a festive meal. Whereas the festive meal of Hanukkah just isn't there. Okay, shkoyach, latkes. So you're getting like a little, what is that, dessert? Is that an appetizer? What is that even? You're getting a donut. Exactly. How can you live off of donuts? I mean, seriously. This is not a meal. This is not a meal. They give you a donut, for dessert. A latke maybe for some sort of an appetizer, but there's certainly an entree is missing, right? There's no kiddush. There's no festive meal. You know what I mean? Hanukkah is celebrated in a very strange way, very unlike us Jews, with fire. Jews and fire, we don't normally deal with fire so much. We subcontract, right? We give that to people that know how to get their hands dirty, right? The kid at his bar mitzvah, when a Jewish boy has his bar mitzvah, when he comes to the realization that he has more chance of owning the team than of playing on it, right? Yeah, we don't get our hands dirty. We don't get our hands dirty with the fire. But here in Hanukkah, every Jew becomes a pyromaniac. He's lighting oil. We're looking for oil. We're lighting the thing. We're climbing ladders. We're putting the oil into the pitchers on top of the menorah. There's wicks. There's fireballs. I mean, this is dangerous stuff. Right? We're on a roll on Hanukkah. Yeah, we put in the menorahs on top of cars here in Palm Beach Gardens. We're doing menorah parades. We're going around town. And now this year we've got a new trend here in Palm Beach Gardens for a few years. We're lighting the fireworks. We're shining up the skies. I mean, we got a rabbi in charge of fireworks. This is dangerous. Ever heard of a paradox like that? Right? The fireworks rabbi. Rabbis are they're scholars, teachers. Oh, and we're in the firehouse. I didn't even think of that. This show we're in right now is a fire station. It's a firehouse, right? It used to be a building devoted to putting out fires. Now it's a building devoted to putting up fires, right? We're lighting up souls. We're kindling fires. We're igniting hearts and souls. That's what we're all about. So what's up with the oil on Hanukkah? Now, yes, we got the historical narrative there. Got it. But there's got to be more depth to the story. Now, we know we're going to go level 2 now before we go to level 3 and 4. We're going to go kind of deep today, so bear with me, folks. It's going to be pretty, I think. I think it's going to be nice. So in level 2, I'm going to say to you, well, you'll tell me, Rabbi, well, actually, there's a reason why, and you can figure this out yourself. There's a reason why Hanukkah is not about a meal. Now, if you were to squeeze your lemon right now, you would be able to answer this question because you know the answer. Well, I mean, in fact, I'm going to lead you to the answer. So how is Hanukkah different to all the other Jewish holidays? Because the enemy was a different kind of enemy. What was a different kind of enemy? They didn't want to kill the Jews. They wanted to kill Judaism, right? They weren't trying to kill our bodies. They were trying to kill our souls. Hence, what can you deduct from that? Since the war wasn't against our bodies, therefore, we don't celebrate with our bodies with food. Since the war was against our souls, our faith, our belief, therefore we celebrate with light, with fire, which is more of a spiritual nature. Remember, fire is the opposite, the antithesis of physicality. Everything physical goes down, fire goes up. Everything physical takes up space, fire frees up space, right? Everything physical is something you want to clutch and grab and hold. It's got dimensions. Fire has no dimensions. Fire cannot be grasped or clutched or held or processed, right? Everything physical diminishes through sharing. Fire increases through sharing, right? You have one candle, you light 50 other candles. You don't have less fire, you have more fire, right? So fire is a spiritual entity. And therefore, it's manifesting the intention of our enemies on Hanukkah, which was not a physical war, it was a spiritual war. They were there in order to contaminate our souls. Remember, they could have burned down our temple, but that was not their intention. They wanted to just redirect our spirituality into superficiality. They wanted that instead of us believing in an invisible God, to contaminate our ideology, instead of us believing in an invisible God, instead of us believing in concepts such as holiness and unholiness, purity and impurity, they said, nah, the oil is all the same oil. Big deal. It's got a seal from the high priest. It doesn't have a seal from the high priest. Oil is oil, right? And that's what they were trying to do. They were saying, listen, Jews, keep up your thing. Do what you do. But don't tell me, Baba Mises, that this oil is holy. And that oil is not holy. This one is blessed and that one is cursed. Give me a break. This is the Greek approach. And the Jewish approach is, no. You can't marry anybody you want to marry. You can't touch everything you want to touch. You can't go everywhere you want to go, right? Not every day of the week is exactly the same holiness. This day is a holy day. This is not a holy day, right? This is a yontif. This is regular, right? These are the very fabric of the mosaic of our ideology, of our faith, of our spirituality. And this is exactly what the Greeks wanted to contaminate. It's all encapsulated beautifully in the little prayer addition that we add in the silent Amidah on each of the thrice daily prayers of Hanukkah, where we effectively say they just wanted us to forget the laws of your holy Torah. They didn't want us to forget the laws. They wanted us to forget that God gave us the laws, right? And they wanted us to forget the godliness within our faith. But our faith in and of itself, they were okay with, right? And that's the reason, which we can say, is why we don't have a meal on Hanukkah. Because Hanukkah really had nothing to do with our bodies, whereas other Jewish holidays were all about, I mean, look at Purim, for example. Purim is a mitzvah to have a feast. It's a mitzvah to have a feast. Every single Jewish holiday, there's a mitzvah to have a feast. But on Hanukkah, there ain't no mitzvah to have a feast. Of course, we eat, because what else are we Jews going to do? That's what we do. We're experts in you'd think, by the way, you'd think that with all of what we've done with food, you'd think we should be the world's sommeliers. I don't know how the French became sommeliers. We should be the inventors of pasta and pizza. I don't know how this happened.
Kosher wine is not necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. How did kosher? No, today's kosher wine, you should know.
It's better than it was when I was a kid.
What better than it was? Somebody gave me a bottle of wine this Shabbos at my Shabbos table. You tasted it. It was spectacular. This was next level. I mean, what do I know about wine? But whatever. Anyways, bottom line is, friends, Jews and food, we make a meal, but it's not a mitzvah to have a meal on Hanukkah. Now we know the reason why, right? We have now level 2, an understanding of why it is. We went a little bit deeper. Why it is that there's no meal on Hanukkah. Gotcha. Now, and we can also understand why we light fire, because fire is spiritual.
Right.
Indicative and expressive of the spiritual war. Now, I want you to think about this for a moment before we go deeper. On Hanukkah, you're supposed to listen to the stories that the Hanukkah lights tell us. So when you sit there with your kids or your grandkids, and if they're not there with you physically, put them in on Zoom. Put them in on Zoom and say to them this message. Why don't you tell them this message? Say, kids, grandkids, look. You're in my house. And the kids will say, no, we're not in your house. But then you say, but your attention is in my house. Your vision, you're looking at my candles. right? In other words, you can explain to your kids that when you're on Zoom or FaceTime, you can explain to your kids that there's such a thing as being somewhere without physically being there. There's a spirit without a body, where your concentration, your attention can be in Palm Beach Gardens by Bubby and Zadie's house, but your body's still in Chicago or Detroit or New York or Baltimore, right? So you can explain to your kids that this is exactly what the Greeks were trying to contaminate. They said our bodies are good. They're good with our physical being, but our spiritual existence is what they wanted to mess around with. They wanted to contaminate our virtual presence. They didn't want to believe in that which couldn't meet the eye, right? That's what faith is. Faith is spiritual, something which cannot be seen. Now, when you do that with your kids, tell your kids and grandkids that what's the message? Ask them what's the message that the Hanukkah lights teach us, and tell them, there's no meal. Hanukkah is about fire. It's the antithesis of the physical, and the reason for that is because the Greeks were trying to wage a war against us to assimilate us. And ask your kids, do you know anybody today that's trying to assimilate the Jewish people? Do you know anybody that's trying to make us like them? Anybody who likes us, that wants to incorporate us into their lifestyles and make that into a very interesting conversation. And now you'll have lots what to talk about with your grandkids, right? And you can talk to them about values. Oil is an amazing thing because oil on the one hand mixes into everything. It goes into your salads. Why do you put in a salad? Because it goes everywhere, right? It goes into your door hinges, goes into your bicycle chains, where nothing else is able to go. The oil goes there. Yet the oil always retains its identity. It never mixes. Always rises to the top. So on the one, it's got this amazing paradox. On the one hand, it's integrated fully, more than anybody else. At the same time, it's actually distinct. It remembers who it is. And that's what a Jew is supposed to be. It's a brilliant metaphor for your grandkids, is that a Jew is supposed to be integrated in the world. You're not supposed to be separated from society. You're supposed to be a banker, an investment banker. You're supposed to be a mergers and acquisitions guy. You're supposed to be involved in law and entrepreneurship. You're supposed to be, living any way you want in the world. But whilst you're integrated into the world like oil, don't forget who you are. Don't forget who you are. You could be a salad mix, right? But you've got to remember that oil always rises to the top. If I'm not mistaken, you put the oil in the food processor, does the oil still go to the top? Right? It still rises to the top, right? So, and that's what it says. So those salad dressings, mix before tossing on the salad. Shake before, right? Why do you have to shake it? Because the oil still rises to the top. Nothing you can do about it. They did everything they possibly could for the oil to mix it, but it will not mix. And that's what a Jew is supposed to be. What a fascinating conversation to have with your grandkids. Now, let's talk about meals. Let's talk about all the other Jewish holidays. So when you have a meal on the other Jewish holidays, what are you doing in the other Jewish holidays? What are you doing? You're eating food. What is food? What is the staples of a meal? Bread, water, wine, right? Bread and water is like the basics of a meal. And then you have wine, which is not basics, but it's luxury of a meal, right? These are some of the most common items that you'll find in a meal. Why is that? Because they hint at 3 parts of Torah. Bread and water, which are absolute necessities for life, represent the part of Torah which is an absolute necessity. A Jew has to learn the revealed parts of Torah, which is the 5 books of Moses, the code of Jewish law, the Talmud, the Mishnah, in order to just know how to live as a Jew. Right? So bread and water represents the revealed parts of Torah. But then wine, which is a luxury, you could live with that wine. It is possible to live with that wine, right? So wine represents a part of Torah that adds joy, adds vitality, adds celebration to your life. And that represents the secrets of Torah, which are not absolutely vital. You can live without them, right? But they give vitality and joy in life to your bread and water, right? They infuse vitality and joy and purpose into your ordinary.
So that's Kabbalah.
This would be the secrets of Kabbalah, exactly. Now, but then there's, and that's what happens at every Jewish holiday. Every Jewish holiday, we eat a meal, and the symbolism of that meal, bread, water, wine, symbolizes our connection to Torah. That we're connecting not only to the revealed part of Torah, but also to the hidden part of Torah, right? Think about Purim, for example. What happened in Purim? Purim was a hidden hand of God that led the sequence of the events of the Mordechai and Esther story in Iran. Very exciting these days what's going to happen in Iran, eh? Nobody knows what's going to happen there. Very cool. Okay, so the 60 Minutes interview this morning with the Beeper Bums, very interesting. Okay, so yeah. So the Mossad is saying, don't go for the hoodies. Don't need to go for the hoodies. Go for the head of the octopus. It's very interesting. And I digress. I don't know how I digressed over that. ADHD at play. What?
On 60 Minutes.
What's you interrupting the interruptions? Okay, go ahead. Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
In 60 Minutes, they had a story about the Mossad.
Yeah. So I was just referencing. Yeah.
10 years. They started.
10 years. Yeah.
They started that 10 years ago.
Yeah. Let's keep on going. Let's get back to the story, guys. Chuck, back to my story here. So I was talking about Iran, right? Because on Purim's story, what happened was there was a natural sequence of events that was manipulated by God's hidden hand behind the scenes. And that's why we have wine on Purim. In fact, you're supposed to have wine on Purim to the point of inebriation till you cannot tell the difference between cursed as Haman and blessed as Mordechai. Why? Because on Purim, we're supposed to celebrate the secret part of Torah, the hidden hand of God, in addition to the revealed part of Torah, which is bread and water. Now, comes along a fourth item on the food table. There's a fourth very important item on the food table, because if all you're serving is bread and water and wine, the meal is pretty much tasteless. And that's when you go to a fancy Italian restaurant. Together with the bread, they'll give you oil. The Italian restaurants. Oil. You're going to get oil, right? Olio di olivio, right? They'll give you the olive oil, right? Because what does oil do? Oil infuses great taste into the food. The problem is that different water, wine, and bread, which can be consumed on their own, oil cannot be consumed on its own. You don't just take oil and just like chug it down like you drink a wine or water, right? You can't do that to oil, right? Yeah. I think, by the way, in pregnancy, when you're trying to get the baby out, they say castor oil. My wife says it's disgusting. Okay. I never tried it myself, but okay. So when you mix the oil with other foods, you still can't drink balsamic vinegar on its own. No. And that's not even oil. Yeah. So when you mix it with other foods, then it greatly enhances the tastes and the pleasure of those other foods. Now here is expressed the secret of Hanukkah. Because now we're going to a deeper level of understanding the connection between Hanukkah and oil. Now that we're understanding the context of the food, the tablescape, right? The bread, the water, the wine, and now the oil, we begin to realize that these only one holiday in the entire year when we're celebrating oil. When we're celebrating that kind of food, which greatly enhances the flavor of the other foods, even though in and of itself it cannot be eaten. And that is Hanukkah when we celebrate the oil. Why is that? Because the other Jewish holidays are all connected with the more revealed parts of Torah. Even wine is relating to the secrets of Torah, the way they are ingestible. The secrets of Torah, the way they are ingestible, because you can drink wine in and of itself. But oil of Hanukkah represents that part of Torah which is so secret. It's so secret, it's called Rozin de Rozin, secrets of secrets. It's like Kabbalah of Kabbalah, which cannot be accessed in and of itself. It's only able to be given to us in a hidden format when the oil is in the salad, when the oil is in the bread, when the oil is in the food and the other substances, right? So oil represents a far deeper secret part of Torah, right? And that's what we're celebrating on Hanukkah. Remember, the Greeks were here to attack the Torah on Hanukkah. And the way that we were able to overcome this very, very sensitive attack. I want you to give an example of here, right? So imagine somebody attacks you, punches you in the face. Well, let's say somebody punches you in the shoulder, let's say, right? Shoulder, it's aggressive. It's not pleasant. But then imagine somebody tries to implant a chip in your brain. You remember all those theories about the vaccines, and they were trying to control mind chips. I mean, I shouldn't speak about this too loud. Maybe people still believe it. I don't know. But there's all these theories about the vaccines, and they're trying to control mind control, and there's all sorts of medications and thingamajigs. Right? If somebody's playing with something that sensitive within you, it's a far more dangerous battleground. I mean, assuming that just to give credence to whatever they're thinking, right? Then that would be a far more dangerous blow than somebody punching you in the shoulder, right? So you're going to need far more advanced weaponry in order to counter such an attack, which is attacking your brain cells, than it is when somebody's attacking your shoulder. Here, when the Greeks were attacking our Torah, our ideology, on Hanukkah, we needed far stronger weapons to combat that than when they were attacking our bodies, which was the other Jewish holidays. And that's why in Hanukkah, it was necessary to reveal the greatest secrets of Torah. Hanukkah represents the revelation of the oil of Torah, which is even greater, even deeper than the wine of Torah. Wine of Torah represents the Kabbalah, it's very nice. But the oil represents the parts of Torah that are so incredibly secret, so incredibly powerful that they cannot be ingested. They cannot be experienced in and of themselves. They can only be experienced through being absorbed in some other form of Torah. Now, here the question is asked. If Hanukkah indeed represents the highest parts of Torah that are being shared with us, and that is what we're celebrating on a deeper level than what we said before. Before we said oil represents that they've attacked our spirituality, not just our physicality. But now we're saying even within our spirituality, with every Jewish holiday, Hanukkah's spirituality is even more intense than the spirituality of every other Jewish holiday. If that's the problem, then why is it that the deepest secrets of Torah were revealed to us in the most recent Jewish holiday? If you look at the chronological order of the Jewish holidays, Purim came before Hanukkah. And Purim and Hanukkah both were the last of all the Jewish holidays. All the other Jewish holidays were biblical in nature. Rosh Hashanah began when Adam and Eve, right? That's the first one. Yom Kippur happened 2,448 years later when they received the Torah on Mount Sinai, right? Passover happened a little bit before Yom Kippur when they came out of Egypt, right? Shavuos happened a few weeks later. No, Shavuos happened when they... Sukkot happened over the 40 years in the desert, right? So you look at all those Jewish holidays, they're all in the first, 3 millennia. Comes Hanukkah, and Hanukkah is relatively new kid on the block. Hanukkah just happened just 2,000 years ago. That's like yesterday, right? So when you look at it that perspective, why is it that the greatest secrets of Torah were revealed to us in the most recent Jewish holiday? Doesn't it make sense to say that the greatest secrets of Torah should be revealed to us in the earliest Jewish holidays? And here the Rebbe tells us something amazing. The Rebbe tells us that the further we get away from Adam and Eve, the further we get away from God in the Garden of Eden, the further we move away from the revelation of Mount Sinai, the darker the spiritual darkness of our lives is. And the more intense the darkness, the more of a profound light you need in order to combat that darkness. So, for example, to be a Jew in the days of Moses and to be a Jew in our days today, which one is more difficult? Today. Far more difficult to be a Jew today. Then you had a Moses, right? You had miracles and wonders going on all over the place, right? You have biblical miracles. Today, if you even believe in God, it's like, your brother-in-law is already making fun of you, right? So today, you really need access. Then it's like the difference between being a Jew in Israel and being a Jew in Palm Beach. To be a Jew in Israel is not very difficult because everybody's Jewish. But to be a Jew in Palm Beach is much more difficult. You go into public school and the kids around you are pro-Hamas and the teachers are pro-Hamas and everybody's saying ceasefire now and everybody's saying Israel doing genocide and your kids are totally intimidated, right? You need far more Jewish pride in Palm Beach than you need Jewish pride in Israel, right? You see the difference, right? So today when we live so far away, so far removed from the spiritual revelations of earlier generations, that's exactly the reason why we need a more intense revelation of Torah in our times. Because in the days of Hanukkah, when it was already after the Torah was given, several hundred years after the Torah was given, no, it's more, it was 1,000 years. 1,000 years after the Torah was given. I mean, this is relatively modern times. You were talking about the Greeks, you're talking about the Romans. We know these people on first name basis, Vespasian and Titus and Plato and Aristotle. I mean, these are relatively recent people, right? We're not talking about biblical characters right now. So when we were living in the days of the Hanukkah story, when the Greeks were trying to assimilate us, just like your kid in a public school in Palm Beach or Chicago, now we need absolutely far more powerful secrets of Torah in order to overcome and to give us the strength to endure. And that's what's represented by the wine. Sorry, not the wine, the oil of Hanukkah. So, yeah.
Hanukkah, it's kind of alluded to in the Torah because the 25th word in the Torah, which is Or, is like the 25th day of the month when we celebrate Hanukkah. Okay.
Yeah, it's alluded in the Torah. Of course, it's alluded in the Torah. It's alluded, yeah, absolutely. There's an allusion in the Torah to Hanukkah. I'll give you another allusion. I'll give you another allusion in the Torah, Toby, to Hanukkah. And that is, Hanukkah always falls out in the week of Parshas Miketz. Miketz, which means when he woke up, or at the end of a certain period. The word Miketz also means that he woke up, but also means at the end of a certain period. So the word Miketz also means the end of exile, because the word Miketz represents the end of exile, when we will experience the lights of Hanukkah, which is the revelation of the greatest secrets of Torah, represented by the fire of oil. Oil burning on fire, oil that you can't even eat. You don't even eat this oil. Every other Jewish holiday, you're eating the mitzvah. Here, you're not even eating the mitzvah because you can't. The secrets are too intense for us to process. It's just like drinking straight from a fire hydrant. We can't. The only way we can experience it is by lighting it on fire and looking at the lights. That's how powerful the secrets of Torah revealed in Hanukkah is. Now, I want you to realize this, that we today are celebrating this past weekend the anniversary of the birth of Chabad. In 1798, the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, was released from his incarceration by the Russians, and he was able to launch the movement with the publishing and dissemination of the Tanya. Well, it was actually printed in 1795, but he was able to disseminate it publicly after his release from imprisonment on the 19th day of Kislev, which was this past weekend. So now we're celebrating a new year in the Chabad world. Now, what does Chabad mean? Chabad is not a denomination of Judaism. Chabad is a philosophy. It is the sharing of the secrets of Torah in a rational way. So Hanukkah and Chabad are deeply connected, because Chabad is about understanding the secrets of Torah. That's what it is. So whereas other Jewish groups, or Orthodox Jewish groups, they study Torah plentifully. They learn Chumash, and they learn Mishnah, and they learn Tanakh, and they learn the Halacha, and they learn the Gemara, and they learn the commentaries, and they learn the Chakira. But what they don't necessarily learn is the secrets of Torah, which is the teachings of Chassidus, right? The teachings of Kabbalah and the teachings of Chassidus. Why do we need that? Why do we need that these days? Some of them react to it with like skepticism, like, well, our ancestors didn't have these teachings, so why do we need these teachings? And the answer is that our ancestors didn't need these teachings because they were in more spiritually conscious generations. In the generation of the Maharal of Prague 15 generations ago, or in the generation of King David, what was that, 2,800 years ago, or in other generations like them, there was no need for the secrets of Torah because people were far more spiritually enthusiastic. But today, because we're living in such a dark world, we have no choice but to bring out the big guns. And that's why the secrets of Kabbalah, of Chassidus, were released to us at the very end of the exile in the last, since 1798, that's 227 something years, I think it is, 227 years. That's the age of this movement, of the Chabad movement. It's only the last 227 years where we have the teachings of Chassidus, because only now we need these powerful lights, this powerful oil, because now, just like in the Hanukkah story, they needed to reveal the oil in the last Jewish holiday against the powerful war with the Greeks. So to now, when we're fighting the war against the Greeks today, we're fighting the war against American culture and against European culture and secular culture and woke culture and every other culture that's trying to suck us up, that's trying to drown us up. You know what? Think about it. What's the melting pot? What's the melting pot? Zangul. Zangul was a Jew who came up with the term melting pot in a play that he wrote, because he wanted to say that in America, everybody's going to be like a melting pot. Everybody's going to be the same, right? Whereas we Jews say, no, it's more like a salad. A salad. The tomato stays a tomato. The radish stays the radish. It's not blended. It's just distinct. It's a tossed salad, right? But it was a Jew himself who came up with this concept, because so seduced was he, Zangul, by the mentality of America, that he just wanted to forget his Judaism and just be an American. That's how seductive our culture is right now, and why it's incredibly important for us to bring out our real big guns, which is the secrets of Chassidus that we're teaching. And that's why I want to launch today a brand new initiative. Because today we are beginning the book of the Tanya. Until now, we study the book of the Tanya starting on the 19th of Kislev. It goes all year long. And every day we study the Chitas, the Chayenu, to learn the daily Tanya. Now, it's not always easy to understand the Tanya, because Tanya was a book that was written. It's like oil, it's like oil. It's a little hard to understand. And what does Chabad do? Chabad's goal is to take ideas that are spiritual, mystical, and to rationally comprehend them. So my understanding last year is not good enough for this year. I got to improve. I got to push the envelope. I got to understand more this year than I understood last year. What I believed yesterday, I understand today. And what I believe today, I'm going to strive to understand tomorrow. So it's a new year, a new beginning, a 227th year of the Chabad movement. I want to start a new initiative today. And that is Today I want to start launching a daily YouTube message, which is going to be a summary of the Tanya. I'd like to call it the personal Tanya, perhaps. I think it's the personal Tanya to do, maybe 5 minutes or less. Just an overview of the daily teaching of the Tanya. Now, you, Chuck, for example, you've learned the Tanya once. Fantastic. That's a great scratch on the surface. But let's do it again now, right? Every year we do it again. This is a book that is a book of the discovery of our own souls and our own spirituality. So what I want to do is, and I'm going to be uploading it every day, hopefully, if I can. God bless me. I hope I should be able to find the time. And I want you to look for it every day on this channel on youtube.com/Jewish Gardens to find the daily Tanya message synopsis, the synopsis of the personal Tanya, so that every day you can look at it. I'll also be posting a link to the written version of the Tanya, which is what you're looking at here. This is the, thank you, Andy. This is the day. Oh, Andy, you can see it in the video. Yeah, there it is. I'm going to post a link to the actual written version of the Tanya, so you can actually read it after you listen to the synopsis. Because if you get the synopsis, you get the lay of the land. Here's we starting, here we're ending, this is where we're coming from, this is where we're going, this is the context. And now you're in inside, you're like, oh, I think I know what it's talking about. But if you just read the text, it's like a ground troop, and you're not sure which country you're in. You're not sure if you're in Gaza or you're in Montana. Can you imagine you're a soldier, you don't know which country I'm in, but just shoot, right? It's a little, you can lose yourself. But if you get the context beforehand, you say, listen, you're in Montana, you don't have to kill anybody. Nobody's out here to get you, you're just here to enforce the law. Then it's okay, it's a different context than if you're in Gaza, right? And that is the new initiative which I'd like to launch in honor of this Hanukkah, of this Yutes Kislev, of this New Year Rosh Hashanah, and would very much appreciate your feedback, your comments, to be able to see how that works, because Hanukkah is all about the light, Hanukkah is about the oil, and we're 1 year deeper into exile. 1 year deeper into exile, we need an even greater light than we've ever experienced before. What's your question, Keith?
On Hanina,
yes.
you mentioned it.
Yes.
What day did it start?
Today, Monday. Yeah. Today we start chapter 1 of Tanya, right?
Chapter 1.
Okay, and with that, folks, I'm going to call it a day. Thank you very much.
10% lasted. Your oil.
My oil lasted, and my oil lasted 10%. Where am I at?